Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Gilligan. I'm the Vice President of Operations for RVA757 Connects. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for the latest edition of the RVA757 Connects Innovation Spotlight webinar series. We have an exciting and very interesting program today about a Richmond company that's developed a technology that allows for substantial reduction in laboratory carbon emissions and plastic waste. But before we do that, let me just let you know a little bit of things of how the program will go today. I'll first give you a little bit of an update on RVA757 Connects. Then we'll delve into today's topic about Grenova. That's the company that's designing and manufacturing and commercializing equipment to enable customers to sterilize laboratory tools such as pipette tips, reducing the need to dispose of them after just one use. Then we'll leave some time for some questions and answers. And then finally, we'll wrap up the webinar and let you know what's coming up next. We do record these webinars, so I just want to let you know that we're doing that. And also, if you have any questions, please use the chat function and send them to me, and we'll get those questions answered at the end of the program. RVA757 Connects is a nonprofit organization, so we rely on donations. Here are our corporate investors. As you can see, our corporate supporters include many of the biggest companies in the Richmond region and the Hampton Roads area. We thank them for their support. And that's a great segue into telling you a little bit about what's going on at RVA757 Connects. RVA757 Connects is an organization dedicated to improving the economic success and quality of life for everybody in the Richmond region, which we call RVA, and Hampton Roads, which we call 757. We are a network of leaders and representing businesses, community, and higher education. We're advancing the Richmond to Hampton Roads mega region as the I-64 Innovation Corridor. We can kind of package our relationship in a couple different ways. You can consider us as regional collaborators. We work with different organizations and governments to get things done. We're also the 12th largest mega region in the United States. And we're also an innovation corridor, and that's why we call ourselves the I-64 Innovation Corridor. As you can see, we're pursuing several different priorities, finishing up the I-64 gap between Richmond and Williamsburg, for instance, the Global Internet Hub, multi-use trails in the mega region. One of our key priorities is an effort to get the Richmond. I'm sorry, before we do that, let me just share with you that if you do want to learn more about these initiatives, go to our website, RVA757Connects.com, and you can get all the information there. One of our key priorities is an effort to get the Richmond to Hampton Roads mega region designated as a global internet hub. A handful of locations around the world make the World Wide Web work. They're called global internet hubs, and they are all thriving cities. But that's about to change. The world's next global internet hub isn't going to be just a single city, but rather the America's 12th mega region, known as the I-64 Innovation Corridor, that extends all the way from the Richmond region all the way down to Hampton Roads. As you can see here, this 3-foot by 2-foot map explains visually how the I-64 Innovation Corridor becomes a global internet hub, and by combining basically the digital assets of both the Richmond region and Hampton Roads. The I-64 Innovation Corridor also has gained a place on the intercontinental internet map. Since 2019, this corridor has experienced a 73% compounded annual growth rate in international internet bandwidth, according to one of our consultants, Telegeography. We also developed a strategic plan to make this happen, thanks to funding from a variety of organizations, as well as from Go Virginia. We identified 10 strategies to make the I-64 Innovation Corridor one of the world's recognized global internet hubs. One of the strategies is to create a council to work towards implementing the strategic plan. That council has been meeting monthly since late last year to do so. If you go to globalinternethub.com, the website, homepage, and you can click on the map to get a better idea of these digital assets. This map has just recently been revised. There's some slight tweaks to it. If you want a copy of the map, please email me and let me know, and we'll send you one. Another one of our initiatives is to drive and support greater collaboration and innovation. One way we're doing that is through these monthly virtual innovation webinar series, like today. As I mentioned, we record all of our webinars. Today's webinar will be available on our website later this afternoon. You can watch any of the webinars we have held since February 2022. They're all available on our website. Go in and read the various years. You can see the various topics that we've had. If you ever want to go back and look at them, they're all available there. Our next webinar will be on Wednesday, June the 5th. That's, again, the first Wednesday of the month. Stay tuned for details. Now, today, we will learn more about Grenova. Grenova is a Richmond-based company that has developed game-changing technology that allows for a substantial reduction in laboratory plastic waste. Every year, the life sciences industry generates roughly 12 billion pounds of plastic waste. That's enough to fill a Manhattan knee-deep annually. As the global community increasingly recognizes the urgency of addressing climate change and resource depletion, laboratories are under pressure to reassess their practices. Grenova provides environmentally friendly solutions to reduce laboratory waste. The company designs, manufactures, and commercializes capital equipment and associated consumables to enable customers to sterilize laboratory tools such as pipette tips and microwell plates, therefore reducing the need to dispose of them after just one use. Since its founding in 2014, Grenova has gained hundreds of laboratory operations customers in various industries such as commercial, government, university labs, and the company has expanded its operations here in the Richmond area several times. Today, our speaker is Lane Major. Lane has been the president and CEO of Grenova since April of 2023. Before joining Grenova, Lane co-founded K2M, a global leader of complex spine and minimally invasive solutions that transform the lives of more than 1 million people worldwide. As Chief Operating Officer and Chief Strategy Officer, Lane grew K2M from a pre-revenue angel-funded startup to $300 million in annual revenue. It was acquired for $1.4 billion by Stryker Corporation. Retained following Stryker Corp's acquisition of K2M, Lane served as general manager of the newly combined spine division, building and integrating about $2 billion in investment around medical device, biologics, robotics, navigation, and other enabling technologies. Lane he's born and bred here in Virginia, and he holds a master's degree from James Madison University and an MBA from Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management. Just as a reminder, again, if you have questions, please send them to me. And now I'm going to stop sharing the screen and turn it over to Lane for his presentation. Thank you, Lane.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Greg, for that introduction. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, this is a real pleasure. And, I was very excited about the opportunity when I listened to the overview and I hear about our region called the Innovation Corridor. I think we're a great representation of exactly what embodies this organization. Today, we have an opportunity to share our story, and we don't want to miss the opportunity because we think we're doing something very special here in our own backyard. And so we'll take this opportunity to dive in a little bit to what's going on, here in the Richmond area as an example of all the innovation that we have going on here. As we start out, Greg mentioned a statistic that reinforces the fact that we have a real problem, and Grenova is solving that problem. It's hard to believe, but the amount of plastic waste that's going into landfills every year from laboratories around the world can fill Manhattan up to your knees, representing 12 billion pounds of plastic. And this is a reality that is shared with labs, and there's finally a solution out there solve that, and that's where Grenova comes into play. And this is the current practice. You know, when you think about all the plastic consumables and all different facets of life in the laboratory space, not unlike many other areas, what we're helping to reduce is all these plastics that get used one time and thrown away. And this is what that looks like, right? It's bought, used one time, drops into a red bin, and heads straight into a landfill. And so we have developed over just about a decade a solution to really close out that circular economy that we're driving towards. And I mentioned it before, but this is sort of spawned out of our backyard. Grenova was founded in 2014. We've been recognized many times. And currently we have 40 employees in a 32,000 square foot facility here in Scotts Addition, actually. A little local plug, anybody who wants to come visit, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you. We're very proud of what we've built and what we're creating. And our employees are based here in Richmond, and then we are continuously hiring new sales professionals around the world with a real focus in pockets of the United States. And they're the places, if you're familiar with life sciences, that you might imagine. We're hiring folks in Boston, Northern California, Southern California, the Mid-Atlantic, and that same mindset in other parts of the world, most notably in Europe, the UK, Germany, France, Scandinavia. And then we have our technologies that are expanding into other parts of the world, APAC, ANZAC, and the Latin American regions. And this is a rendering of our facility, which exists today right down the road. And we're very proud of the fact that our technology is of the highest quality and manufactured here in the United States. But I think it always starts with, are we solving a real problem? And we're doing exactly that. When we talk about an unmet need, there's not a story that probably represents that more than what the need that Grenova's tackling. And what you can see here, pipette tips are the most commonly used plastic consumable in the lab. The amount of tips that are used is unbelievable. And so what you see in the top of the screen here, these are examples of these pipette tips. They get put in these racks, and they're often used in an automated fashion through robotic technology. And so they get used one time and they go straight into plastic bins. And you say, so, okay, so why do we care to manufacture these tips? These are the resources that are necessary. And so one of these racks that again, you can see in the top right, represent 96 tips. And that's equivalent to 16 plastic bottles that are used all day, every day, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so the company was off and running a number of years back with our flagship technology that we call Tip Novus. And this technology, kind of think of it in simplistic terms, is a washer and a dryer. They come out and they're as good as new. And as you will see, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing when we have demonstrated that for many, many years with the most recognized brands and companies in the world. And so this Tip Novus comes in many shapes and sizes, as you might imagine, but really the area where the biggest return comes is in these really big automated environments. It's amazing. You can go to laboratories around the world and there's just thousands of square feet of robotic solutions, automated solutions that are working on the next generation of different types of sciences. And so we have automated robotic solutions, and that's really where the biggest impact gets made. And we call that our automated Tip Novus. And I thought I'd take a moment and share just a quick video that illustrates what we're doing, and we'll give the technology a shot.
Grenova is rethinking laboratory waste. Your pipette tips can be used more than once. Securing your next batch doesn't have to be a white knuckle experience. Place the used tips in and retrieve the clean tips out. Let the automated Tip Novus do the rest.
Oh, we could fly. We could fly. I can give me so you can accomplish that. It's disappearing. I want to tell you how it's here. So that you can call me, but there's a name. Oh, we can stay. Oh, we can stay.
So it's a fun video that that illustrates the message that we're sharing and we're beginning to share on a global scale. And it starts with, number one, are we solving a problem? And number two, obviously, does it work? And we have partnered with the likes of, as you can see here, CDC, NIH. These are not studies and white papers that have been published by us. These are actually white papers and publications that have been produced by organizations just like this. And amazingly, the data suggests that when these tips go through this cycle, they come out like new, as if you were no different than if you were to open up a new tip package. And you know, our customers often sit there and go, how many times can they be reused? And we can provide our customers the ability to reuse these over and over and over. We have customers that have reused tips well over 20 times. And it is a huge undertaking to purchase these and all of the waste that's coming into play. And like I said, this isn't something that was just spawned out last week. This was an idea born. The founder, Ali Safavi, really started this journey around 2014. And this company has sort of the mindset of build a little, sell a little, come up with a suite of technologies that are very impressive. And as we get into 2024, now it's time to scale. And so it's a very exciting stage of the business for Grenova. Part of this last year, as Greg mentioned, I joined just about a year ago, and I came again from medical device, slightly different. It was also mission driven. We're helping little girls with scoliosis around the world. Whatever I did next, I wanted to be mission driven, and that's exactly this. And so we've assembled a world-class team in the last 12 months. The company, control of the company was acquired by a private equity firm by the name of Peloton. We're just on the verge of closing a Series B round that's injecting the company with capital to be able to facilitate scale. And so we're beginning to hire, and it's a fun time over here in Scott's Addition. And so we're continuing to bring new folks to the team, led by a leadership team that's been there, done that. And so that's what gets me very excited and humbled to have a group like this that's joining every day to make a real difference in the life science space. And so this team has come in, and in the last few months, in addition to the technology that I shared with you that we call Tip Novus, we have just launched and introduced another new product into the market, and that is what we call Purus by Grenova. And it's we spent a lot of time talking about the plastic tips that we're cleaning, but we are also providing the ability to do the same thing for what's called micro well plates, for those that aren't as familiar in the laboratory space. And this is a very big deal. We're just scratching the surface on the impact that we can make in the laboratory space as it relates to plastic consumables. And so this is another great example, Purus, where we've taken that foundational platform technology, and now we can go to our partners and new partners around the world and introduce to them the ability to do the same thing with these micro well plates. And so we're manufacturing, and for those that are interested, and I can build more on this, but this technology, this equipment is actually manufactured and assembled here on site. And so we go through that whole process, both invented, manufactured, and then distributed through Richmond, Virginia. And this facility that we have that we showed earlier provides us the ability to get well beyond 2028 to grow into this facility. And so we're really excited about the future. And we have the foundation to be able to do that in terms of what is often growing pains. Another great example, in the last quarter, we've launched an ERP system as an example, right? We've been on QuickBooks for 10 years. And so that affords us the ability to scale, as we're kind of going through some of this. I wanted to take a moment and maybe share with you what I describe as our why. This is a mission-driven organization, and so we talk about impact, but the impact that we're making on the life sciences space is significant, and in turn, the type of people, the talent that's interested in joining Grenova is significant. And we see it every day. The amount of messages that we're receiving from excited students here in the local area. I got a message from an up and coming student, soon to be graduate who I think knew about as much about Grenova as I did. It was very exciting. I mean, their passion for what they're doing, the desire to make a difference, was palpable. And these were engineers. These were hardware engineers, mechanical engineers, software engineers, and aspiring business professionals. So it was really heartwarming and encouraging to me. And so this is a big part of where we're going. And so I'll take a moment and share with you kind of our quick story.
My name is Lane Major. I'm the president and CEO here at Grenova. I see my role as one in which I'm partnering with employees all throughout the organization and really bringing new innovative solutions to the life sciences space.
Did you know that every year, 12 billion pounds of waste is produced by labs across the world? That's enough waste to fill the island of Manhattan up to your knees.
Here at Grenova, we're filling a void in the marketplace that nobody else on the planet is addressing. We're developing innovative solutions that provide our customers the ability to reuse plastics that otherwise have never been able to be addressed.
The sustainability focus, the mission is really what drove me to come here. It really is the mission, it's the people.
I think it's always important to work for a place that has a mission bigger than yourself. Having two small kids, it's really important to me that we create a space that's going to be sustainable long-term for their health and success as people and as the earth continues to populate.
By 2050, I believe we're going to have 9 billion people on this planet. So we have to figure this out.
Here at Grenova, we're providing a pathway for many industries to have the sustainability to save the planet moving forward.
We need to enable companies to innovate in the sector, but it's up to companies like Grenova to figure out how to help them be sustainable with those innovations.
Grenova's mission is one of recycling, reduction of waste, and reuse of product. And I think that we all need to follow that sort of ideology, and something I've been passionate about my entire life.
I've been in life science for the past 25 years. Sustainability was attractive to me because it's giving back. At this point in my life, that's what I want to do.
What Grenova is doing is creating a market and an opportunity where sustainability becomes easier and you can be a part of that.
Down the road, we're going to see this company becoming the standard within the life sciences space.
Joining Grenova was one of the most exciting things that I've done in my professional career. I couldn't be more excited about the talented professionals that exist here at Grenova today. And frankly, the professionals that I know are going to be joining us as we're building this organization.
This is more than just a job. I mean, this is a mission. This is a problem I've seen for years and years. So to be able to bring something that I'm passionate about to a company that has commercialized a solution, it's really a dream come true opportunity for me.
Yeah, and that's, when you step back and say, what am I doing? Having something greater than ourselves is really what's allowing us to attract some incredible people. And I could go on about, for example, the leaders that have joined this organization. I sort of playfully say, I have no business recruiting to Grenova, but it's because this is an opportunity to make a big difference. And so we have an entire pipeline of technology over the course of the next 5 years and beyond. We have been partnering with both local and global organizations, life science companies. Our board of directors, I talked a little bit about our leadership team and the additional talent that's beginning to come in. Our board of directors is a world-class board of directors that has run public companies, very large life science businesses, the former head of CMS. And so we've been really beginning to sort of build up this infrastructure to allow us to start scaling. And so we've got a big focus in certain markets. As you might imagine, the life sciences space is are the places that you would think of, as I mentioned earlier. And so we're expanding into those places now. And it seemed only appropriate that this year for Earth Day, which was actually last week, we partnered here locally, and we went down to the river and we were cleaning up, and the theme was plastic waste. And it's just a reminder. It's a reminder of the real need that's going on and the technologies. And I will tell you some examples of the partnerships we're forming. There's an organization actually by the name of Row Impact here, right up the road in Charlottesville, just outside the region maybe, but right up the road, that we've partnered to create some tools that demonstrate the impact that we're having, so that we can go to our customers and say, look at the amount of plastic waste, look at the amount of carbon emissions, look at amount cost savings reduction on all fronts. And the impact is absolutely phenomenal. And so we're going to continue. We're committed to the space. We're committed to some exciting growth. And so having the opportunity to share our story like we have here today is pretty exciting. So I wanted to make sure there was plenty of time in case there was any question and answer. But to RVA757 and Greg, we really appreciated the opportunity to share our story. And if you gave me an hour, I'd certainly jump on all of it. But I wanted to be also mindful of the time. But there's just so much to share. And this company is pretty exciting and ready to pop.
Lane, thank you so much. I've got some questions. I know we'll have some questions in the chat. If you'll stop sharing your screen, I'll remind folks about, there we go. Remind folks about if you have any questions and answers. If you have any questions, send them to me in the chat, and there is one. But let me just ask you, Lane, as we wait for some, with the increasing global awareness, I guess, of environmental issues and the push for more sustainable practices, tell me, how big of a market opportunity is there out there for Grenova's technology?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was shocked when we talk about the amount of plastic waste. The market opportunity globally is also about a $12 billion market opportunity from our assessment. When we take a look at the plastic consumables, this global push towards sustainability, it's really spotlighted this massive market opportunity, particularly for Grenova's technologies. And it's coincidence, but similar to the market size, when I reference this 12 billion pounds of plastic annually, the demand for these solutions is not only significant, but it's growing. And we're kind of no one else is doing what we're doing. There are no real direct competitors. There's all sorts of different ways to try to solve some of this. But we really are at the forefront of technology enabling labs to be able to do this. And I should note, a big part of our offense is not just having very passionate, great talent that's in market partnering with our customers. But we have an incredibly strong IP portfolio. One of the great things that Ali, our founder, did right out of the gates was really start making sure that we file intellectual property to protect what we're doing, because it is special. And on top of filed IP, there's also the importance of know-how. And so we've got over a decade of really understanding, because it's those nuances, those details that really matter. And the reason this is the critical moment to scale this operation is because, you know, the environmental regulations are very much tightening, and there's a rising demand from labs that are seeking cost savings, sustainability alternatives. And so I would say that we are as strategically well positioned to meet this demand as ever. We have robust production capabilities. We have a proven track record of success. That's both in commercial, government, education. If you were to say, you know, who are some of the partners, some of the biggest labs and life science companies in the world. And so we're starting to build on that now.
So, and you mentioned during your presentation, Elaine, about you're now in the process of going through another series of fundraising.
Yep.
When will that close? How big of a round will this be? Can you tell us?
Yeah, well, more.
And what will it be used for, I guess?
Yeah, you bet. It's a great question. There's some more news to come soon on that front, so keep an eye out. But I would tell you that it is not insignificant capital, and it looks like we will be oversubscribed. Something we're very proud of in the face of not the best market to be raising funds in now. And our new investment partners these are people that know the space, very, very bright, and just reinforce a belief in where we're going. Just to give you an idea, in addition to Peloton Equity, we have investment partners like Morgan Stanley, like Hamilton Lane. I mean, these are multi-billion-dollar investment groups that believe in what we're doing, understand what we're doing. And so, you know, and that is, you know, that close is imminent. And I think is when you say, you know, so what is that use of capital? I think is effectively the question. We believe this is an execution play. So we've got an innovation pipeline that's going to continue. That's what gets me excited. There's so much opportunity, but it's time for the world to really know the lab space, the life sciences space, to really know who Grenova is and what we're doing. And that's really how we're thinking about the future and scaling up.
So one of our participants, Nicole Keller, asks, what is the life cycle of tips and well plates that are repeatedly sanitized? And at what point does the plastic begin to degrade? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, you bet. So, we refer to our technology, you know, in the life science, particularly the lab space. These are scientists. These are folks who, you know, as you might imagine, there's got to be an unequivocal conviction or convincing that, yeah, this works. Because the last thing scientists want to do is introduce a new variable into their assay or whatever they're working on. And what's interesting is effectively they do the validation. So we'll go to our customers and we will partner with them. We'll bring in application engineers and we will partner with them so that they convince themselves before they start running this at scale that the process cleans what they want it to clean. And so whether it's diagnostics, research, academia, food and ag, we have partners on all fronts. And we time and time again, we just continue to prove, demonstrate to our partners that this works. And so as they go through this validation process, the life cycle of these tips, as I mentioned, not just 5, not just 10 times. We have customers who, when they go through the validation, have proven the ability to be able to reuse these well over 20 times. The degradation of the plastic tips, I will tell, is contingent on the type of plastic tip. Meaning, you know, if it's like anything. There are higher quality tips depending on where they're manufactured, who manufactures them. But in many laboratory settings where automation is at play, the degradation, we don't see it up to 20, 25 times and beyond, because these tips are utilized with robots, with machines. So it's not an individual taking a pipetter, which is the tool that you tend to punch into a plastic tip. These are machines. And so it's impressive how limited that is. In smaller settings where someone uses a manual pipetter, that's where you can degrade the tip because you're pressing down on the tip, and who knows how you can damage it. But our equipment does not, we're not seeing meaningful degradation, which is why we're able to use them over and over and over again.
So not only are you helping the environment, but you're saving money too. So these companies, so have you done a cost analysis of how much are companies saving by reusing these tips versus having to buy brand new ones?
Yeah, look, particularly post-COVID, a lot of laboratories have had to find ways to save money and unfortunately reduce headcount in many ways. Now we are seeing a little bit of maybe things coming back around, which obviously from our seat is fantastic in the laboratory space. But we have an incredible story in the world of sustainability, and there's countless examples. Companies have to walk in. They walk in and go, hey, I can help you save. I can help you reduce your carbon emissions. I can help you reduce your laboratory waste, but it's going to cost you. That in Europe, and that's why we really think about these markets differently. In Europe, when can we talk? I mean, it's amazing. And for different reasons. In Europe, there's a lot of, as previously mentioned, the government legislation, the government oversight. There's that the push is coming from above. In the United States, that's coming. I mean, we've never seen it more so than, the Inflation Reduction Act and other things in certain states, as you might imagine, California and others. But the pressure in the US is really coming from investors, shareholders. And so they're both these macroeconomic conditions are coming from both sides, just in different ways. And we can show up and say, not only can we help you in a meaningful way, and I should note, by the way, our sustainability savings for those that are pretty close to this is what's called Scope 3 savings. It's a really big deal in the world of sustainability. The ability to control your own behavior as a company to reduce your carbon emissions, those pressures that are coming for all of us, that's one thing. But how do you influence, how do you control your level of accountability for your vendors? And that's where Scope 3 comes into play. That's where we help. That's where we can reduce in a huge way that's really hard for so many companies. But all of that said, the ability to walk in and go, and I can also save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, big labs, what's happening? We kind of openly talk about the fact that, our ability to go into a lab, which is happening now, and have incredible success stories. What do? They pick up their phone, and they're in Germany to their sister lab in Boston and say, hey, you've got to check out this technology. That's what's happening. And so that's this expansion opportunity is significant because we not only save them on the obvious, which is sustainability, but we're saving them a lot of money along the way.
So let me ask you this. I love watching the Shark Tank. It's a great show. Been watching it for years. And so the sharks always like to ask, I always think of like 3 different questions now. What's your competition? What are your sales? And what's your profit? Now you may not be able to talk about, I know you're private, but can you give us a sense in the sales are profitable? Are you profitable or not? And are your sales, are you double-digit increases or what? However you can couch it for us.
Yeah, you bet. Great show, isn't it? Yeah, it's fun to see some of those companies come to life.
You look a little bit like Mark.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment. So the organization or the technology that this organization provides is in the capital equipment space. The margins are pretty impressive. This company has actually been profitable. To some extent, that's a decision that we can make. But we're in investment mode. Investment mode drives what we are modeling to be kind of hockey stick growth. And so, you know, we'll continue to assess that on a quarterly and annual basis. But we're heavily investing because we think the opportunity is now. You talked about that first part of it, sort of that competitive landscape. We don't have a lot of direct competition today. You've got some folks that are doing a little bit of recycling, but the big players, the people that are manufacturing these tips or plates or other consumables, they have a real problem, and they've said it publicly. They've got a real challenge, and we've got one heck of a head start. And I keep saying, look, it's inevitable that at some point some big player comes in and tries to get into the game, and I go, great, that's free marketing, because it's not just throw more engineers at it and get a product out there. I came from a world where folks thought you could do that. You know, there were hundreds of competitors, to include the Johnson & Johnsons, and they try to throw more engineers at something. That's why it's so important to talk about to mention our intellectual property, which has great claims, and our know-how with some incredible engineers that are part of the team. So you know, and I should also add, right now, our portfolio consists of products, consumables, and then service contracts, which is really important to make sure that the products do what we say they're going to do, and we keep them up to speed. And this is a partnership with our customers, and we have an amazing amount of we have some really incredible advocates, what I'll call early adopters years ago, that are really helping us kind of through that. But the ability to provide our solutions and do it in a way that doesn't just require capital budgets, whether it's through operating expenses, maybe down the road you can envision service models. You know, our technology lends itself to any of that.
So we have another question from Nicole. And by the way, Nicole is with Plan RVA, and maybe after you answer your question, they're both resilience. She and another person on the call are resilience planners, and they are leading the staff for the region's first ever greenhouse gas reduction plan. And so they're very interested in what you're doing. But the question,
Nicole, we've got to talk. That's what
yes.
We help there, absolutely, and I appreciate the questions. Thank you.
She wants to know, where is your technology being used? Is it in local labs? Is it in hospitals, like university systems? Where, I mean, at least in the Richmond or Virginia, you know, Hampton Roads market to Richmond, how many of these places are using your technology?
Yeah, so the demand is worldwide. And actually, it was pretty exciting, right? I think all of us would agree we'd like to avoid another global pandemic. But for many life science companies, it was an opportunity, and that story is no different for Grenova. At that time, like so many other industries, supply chain was a problem, right? And labs could not get their hands on plastic, pipette tips, plates, whatever. And so you had a moment in time where labs had to come up with alternatives. And so that really gave Grenova a little bit of a jump start. Frankly, it validated who we are and what we do. And so it afforded us the ability to create a strong foundation so that when the supply chain headwinds, and it's still a challenge, so many labs, as they should be, you know, are worried about, could this happen again, which we all know it could. But in addition to supply chain value proposition, you know, that ability to reduce waste, reduce carbon emissions, that has sort of bubbled up, and reduce cost is really what is front and center for Grenova. And so it's allowed us to partner with organizations like VCU right down the road, as an example to your question, Greg. And so we're building, we didn't really have a focused infrastructure for commercial execution. Going back to the question earlier, It's amazing how much progress was made before I arrived in terms of visibility, but it was, you know, it was a small player here regionally. And so I brought in a world-class, one of the best commercial professionals you'll ever meet, has been responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in the medical device space, knows what a world-class sales organization looks like. And so we're building that now. And we've already brought in some incredible talent all over. But I'll land with this on the question, as you expand beyond regionally, where, you know, we've got a number of customers up the 95 corridor and so forth, but we have to stay focused. So many companies, in my experience, kind of, you know, it's sort of like the cat and the laser pointer. You sort of jump at everything because it's something that folks haven't seen before. You know, when we get calls from certain markets, we can't just say yes to everyone, because you've got to make sure that the experience is a positive one. And so we're very focused on certain markets, but we have a go-to-market plan and ability to execute for customers in various geographies, if they have the right foundation and commitment to the technology. And so, you know, although the US and pockets of the US and Europe are a clear focus because, and what an exciting reality, about 70% of this global opportunity is in about 20 MSAs or major markets in the US and Europe, which is pretty exciting. I don't have to be all things to everyone. But if we get a call from, I'll call it Australia, which we get many calls, you know, we got to make sure that we have the right partners. And that's a great example of a market where we do. Canada is another one. But we've got to make sure we can meet the needs of the customer. So it's not one of those situations where you bring in a technology and there's no one to help make sure it's a successful onboard.
So can you, I don't want you to have to reveal all your customers, of course, but can you give us a sense? It sounds like VCU Health System is one, but are the other health systems in the Richmond area? What about LabCorp? What about Centera? What about, you know, Riverside Health? What about some of those other hospitals like in Hampton Roads? Are they, and again, if you can't reveal the customers, I understand.
No. Look, the answer, the punchy answer to that is yes. I mean, many of those are customers, you know, whether it's Harvard or Merck or Pfizer, and the list goes on and on. They're all customers, and they're all customers that have, that we're speaking to, you know, more and more and more. You know, an example that we use often, I sort of touched on it, but there's a very big pharma customer that's, and I love telling the story because it shows the breadth of opportunity, that's based out of Eastern Europe. And then they called another lab in the Northeast, and that has led to some pretty exciting opportunities. I will say, as it relates to this area, I have a very, I have a strong desire, which is why I spent a lot of time focused here in getting to know this market. Another reason why I'm excited to be talking to all of you, and different types of labs and environments where Grenova can help, can make an impact. And we've got customers flying in from around the world to see the technology. And so these are just fantastic opportunities for centers of excellence to really celebrate what's going on in our backyard. So I've been having some great discussions because I've always been passionate about, you know, if we're going to make an impact, let's start locally and then expand out. And so that's how we're thinking.
So Mike, let me ask you, how does Grenova collaborate? And I love that word collaborate, because we think of ourselves as collaborators. How does Grenova collaborate with local universities or government labs or private sector entities here in the I-64 Innovation Corridor to promote sustainability in laboratory practices? I mean, what role do these partnerships play in your overall strategy?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. number one, I am very passionate. I think you and I were sort of chatting about this beforehand. I am very passionate about partnering with local universities. I can tell you last week I was on a panel and spoke to a professor here in one of the local universities that said, look, we've got to talk. I get messages from up and coming graduates of students locally. That's exactly where we should be starting. I think there's just too much talent locally to not provide opportunity and to benefit from the incredible influence that these young students can provide to an organization like Grenova. And you know, this up and coming generation wants to make a difference, wants to make an impact, and that's what we're doing. And so it's one thing to get employees, it's another to get passionate employees that care about what we're doing. And so I would say that, you know, that's first and foremost. That is one example. You know, whether it's government or private sector labs, not only, you know, in this world, not only are we providing benefit to them and you know, to the environment, but we're putting out publications to demonstrate what works. And we're starting to innovate all sorts of new ways to go about doing this, which has been a ton of fun with partners in those sectors locally. I'll give you an example. We've had collaborations with universities, local regional universities in our product development process, where it ensures that our solutions, not that they're just innovative, but again, back to that they're scientifically robust, that they do what they're supposed to do, that we can measure that, and then the ability to prove that, because that's the first thing we have to lead with. Does it work? And be able to show that. So there's all sorts of ways that that we have been partnering, but I would say we're just scratching the surface again on where I want to go in terms of partnerships here in the area.
So my last question for you, Lane, is about looking to the future. I love asking these questions, you know, because it's a very thought-provoking look to the future. But what new innovations or expansions do you think Grenova is planning to further reduce the environmental footprint of laboratories? Are there specific areas with resource management where you see potential for significant advancements?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. I mean, you know, we love to we all could do a better job celebrating the wins, but most of us don't do a good job of that. We're always thinking about what's next, and there's just so much opportunity. Number one, I mean, Grenova is very much committed to continuing on that path of innovation. You know, we already have a lot of ideas on how to reduce environmental impact in all sorts of different type of labs. I will tell you that one way we do that is it starts with listening to the customer. And so I'll get, you know, one example. We have a sustainability advisory board of some of the key opinion leaders from around the life sciences space. And that's where we get a lot of our voice of customer, our VOC. And that will only continue as we move forward. That's also what makes us bullish around the potential for these advancements. So we're exploring advancements in automation, material science, where we can create systems that are more efficient, where we can reduce these consumables, where we can measure and give visibility to our customers. I mean, not only do we have equipment, but we're providing reports and documentation in a reliable way that our customers, our partners can use to demonstrate how much they're impacting. And tie all this together, we've created that with one of the world leaders, as I mentioned, up in Charlottesville, that gives us that credibility that we can stand on, that was developed by world-class scientists. So those are some examples. You know, the technologies we're developing go well beyond just pipette tips and micro well plates. And you know, where we can provide broader range solutions and lab tools. But our goal is really to set new standards for resource efficiency in labs all around the world that cuts down both waste and operational costs.
It sounds like this could be one of those startup businesses 10 years ago that in another 10 years, it could be a major company here in the Richmond region.
Or faster. And so we get pretty excited, you know, this could be that next unicorn, and that's what gets us out of bed every day and gets us pretty excited.
Well, great. I don't have any more questions. Are there any more questions from anyone in the audience? Nicole, since you've asked some, do you have any? See if she, and you can unmute yourself.
Nicole, thank you for the questions. Look forward to meeting you. Yeah, it's there's all sorts of partners we're learning about and people we can learn from.
And I'll connect you to as well, since we're connectors. Well, thank you again, Lane. I appreciate it. Let me just let people know what's happening next as we wrap up things here. Just as a reminder, you can go to our website, RVA757Connects.com, and can look at our various initiatives that we have, the Global Internet Hub, I-64 Gap, multi-use trails, and passenger rail. If you want to get more details and more information there. Also, just a reminder, sometime later this afternoon, the recording for today's webinar will be available on our website, so you can view it and share it with others if you'd like. And a reminder, a month from now, on Wednesday, June the 5th, again at noon to 1 o'clock, we'll have our next in our series of the next Virtual Innovation Spotlight webinar. Stay tuned for details that should be coming out here in about a week or so. I'm just confirming some speakers at this point. And again, thank you to our corporate supporters. Some of them are on today's call. For instance, we have Glenn Ballard from Dragonfly, his company. We also have from Harvey Lindsay Commercial Real Estate that was on the call. And so we really do appreciate all of our various corporate supporters in all that they do for us. And again, thank you, Lane, for your help and commitment to this and for providing information for us today. It was great. It was very, very informative. And I'm a very good, great information you provided. Thank you again.
Hey, Greg,
Yes.
it's Austin. I had a question I posted for Lane. Would you be open to a tour of your facility?
Absolutely. We'd love
So
to.
can you, Greg, can you connect us? In
Yes.
some way?
Sure. I can do that, Austin. Just email me so I'll just as a reminder, but I can do that. Not a problem.
Cool.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Greg. Thanks for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you next month. Thanks again. You can solve it.